I literally realized I was like sitting there during the intro, like reading the comments, just
Oh.
like whatever. I don't actually care. It just amuses me at times. You know, my brain, scary place, man. But my brain during a live stream, especially in the very first couple minutes. Anyway, first off, hello everyone. AmyR here with Prairie Paper and Ink. Welcome back to my face, card making space, and alive. So we are live, unscripted, unfiltered, pure chaos. And the unpaid intern is sitting in the corner to help and do what he can do and whatever. And just another disclaimer, I have been battling a headache for more than a couple days now. The weather's shifting in a good way because we hit negative 41 with the wind chill the other day, and I was just so over it. We got a lot of snow this week, a lot of wind, and it was cold. It was so cold. Like, he and I were out in the evening in the wind, jump starting a vehicle, scraping out. Like, it was just, that was a rough day.
And everything was going wrong.
Everything, literally everything that could go wrong was. It was just like, this past week has just been rough. Anyway, I'm here, and things are good. Migraine, thankfully, not necessarily migraine. I usually get when the barometric pressure is the way it is. It's usually a full like migraine instead of just a migraine that I can just get over. This one has just been like a dull roar for a couple days, but I'm feeling okay, and I've got plans. So, anywho, I'm so excited to see how you use the Sentiments press plate. I'm not really going to show. I did it right before we went live. Also, well, yeah, we'll get to it. We'll get to it one thing at a time. So, yeah, and I can't imagine living. Yeah, you know, you get used to it. We grew up. We live here in Saskatchewan, and the weather gets bloody cold. I expect it to go through many more insane cold snaps. It just is. And the cold, honestly, it's not the cold, it's the wind.
Yep.
The wind is what is absolutely the worst. Like, it can get to minus 50, and it does here. It's manageable. It's literally manageable. Minus 40, manageable. Totally fine. I'm fine. It's the wind. And yeah, when we were jump starting that vehicle, and even with all my layers, I was like, the wind kept hitting the spots that did it. I was dying. It was awful. It's like, I hate this so much. Why do we live here? It's fine. It's fine. Anyway, we're good. We're good. And yeah, it's warming up a smidge.
Yeah.
And yeah, I agreed to go live today because I go live on Sundays, but this is in this is in partnership with Altenew. I have a code to share. Woo! It's in the description box below, but I have a fancy graphic and all the things. So let me get to that first before we get to anything else, because, you know, look at me being all fancy and including my face in it too. I can do things sometimes. So here's my little code, and this will be good for the next couple days. So it's good from now till the 16th. The specific info too is in the description box below, but basically, if you use my link, you can add this pack of watercolor paper, and I do have a link for it in the description box below. If you add that to your cart, and as long as your cart's over $49, you use my little code AmyLive5, and you get that pack of watercolor paper for free. Love it. Love that so much. I'm going to be using this watercolor, and yes, I'm super fancy. You guys have no idea sometimes. Oh, it takes me forever. It takes me forever. I just figured out how to add my face to this graphic 10 minutes ago. 10 minutes. That's it. Anywho. Yeah, sometimes I'm fancy. Sometimes I'm not. Sometimes I'm not. But I have a rough idea of what I plan to make.
Oh, there is Altenew.
Oh, hello. So that'll probably be Mitzi. Yeah. Yay. She'll let us know, but I think it's Mitzi that's here behind the little Altenew badge. So she'll help if people have like questions and things too. And then, yeah, plans. like I said, okay, so the watercolor paper. Let's do. I have a pile of stuff. So let me switch the camera down so that we can get into it. So yeah, this is the pack of watercolor paper that you can get for free. I like this stuff. I've used it quite a bit. I've got multiple packs in various sizes, everything else. And yeah, it's a good weight, good 140 pound weight. I do like the smaller size. So far, I haven't lost any of these packs, unlike my other watercolor paper that I cut down. Still haven't found it. It'll make an appearance at some point. Who knows? Who knows? But yeah, I think because these packs have nice graphics and everything, my brain just doesn't space out as much, you know. All bets are off with me. I will lose everything. I will lose everything. Anyway, so that's the watercolor paper. No, I did not find it. Didn't find it. This is a totally different pack. The other stuff, haven't found. But haven't lost any of my Altenew watercolor paper. I don't know. The packs, just the packaging, I think, just inspires me to not. My brain's just like, ooh, pretty. So, I keep it in its packaging. Anywho, the other thing, and these are new. In the December, I just want to make sure I got my little swatches in the right spot. Okay. So I'm going to use one. I might mix and match and do both today. We'll see. In the December release, which went live, I want to say it's the 14th. So just a few days ago, in that release, amongst all the other beautiful things, are these two little watercolor palettes. And these are nice. I have many Altenew watercolor palettes, like them all for own things. And then, I'd seen the graphics of these. And then when I actually got them, I was even more impressed. So first off, there's Moody Brights, and they come like this. And in my head, I just thought they would be just your basic, if you're familiar at all with watercolor tins, like just your little basic tin. They're not. They have a little button on here to open them. So one, they stay very nicely closed. And then they're all like insulated and stuff. And then the thing that I really liked about these, personally, I like the size. Like these are shallower. They're not deep. So they're shallower, but they're wider. And I was like, oh, that makes me happy. Because the little pans, while they're fine. There's nothing wrong with them. I'm heavy-handed. I'm making a big old mess. You know what I mean? I like the real estate. So yeah, and I've already managed to break them. Whatever. I'm not too concerned because also this presses, like, it keeps everything in place. So I'm not concerned. Over time, the more water that gets in here, this will fix that and it'll be fine. I'm not concerned about it, but proof again that I'm a klutz. I think I've broken some in this one too. I'm pretty sure I managed to because I knock everything over. Yeah, of course, the top, yeah, I broke them. I broke it. It is what it is. But anyway, I did a very simple, basic little swatches of these. I've played around with them a bit. And this is where my scraps come in handy. This is Altenew's watercolor paper. I just took a ruler and drew some pencil lines and then just jute, nothing crazy. I haven't even labeled them yet. They are labeled, like, on the palette. There's all the info and, all the things. So, these are nice. I am happy. And I'm gonna show you guys a very easy way to watercolor. Anybody can do this. Trust me. Anyone. And I saw there was something I missed. Is it nice, white, or creamy? Most watercolor paper is, I guess you'd call it creamy. My light, like especially right here, my light right now is making their watercolor look very white. It's your average color within reason. I would say it's not like stark white. Let me grab something. Because I have a ton of watercolor paper. Let me grab a couple for comparison, I guess. That one. still in my Canson XL. Pretty sure that's some Canson XL. Okay. Altenew watercolor paper. One of my packs of Canson XL that is not the missing one, but similar. Color-wise, almost exact. So if you have Canson XL, Altenew's is very similar color-wise. Arches. Professional. Very nice watercolor paper. I don't reach for it very often. This stuff's expensive. And more often than not, I just don't need it. Almost exactly the same color. Slightly different texture, but that always varies between brands as well. So it's the same. The only watercolor paper that is like white is Ranger's Distress watercolor paper. This one is paper pulp, not cotton. That's how they're able to get it so white. It's a totally different beast in terms of watercolor paper, because the vast majority of watercolor paper, and especially when you want to get into quality, is cotton. Cotton fibers, it gives you better results. When you have papers, watercolor papers that are made with paper pulp, it handles water in a very different way. Still works, but I use the distress stuff with distress techniques and distress inks. Like, you know, they're meant to work together. But when I want to watercolor, I use watercolor paper that's made out of cotton. So that's it in a tiny nutshell, because you can get into the weeds and there's a lot of specifics. But as a card maker, for the most part, I like my Altenews. I like my Strathmore, my El Cheapo. I use my Ranger Distress with distress stuff. I have my few nicer ones, you know, for when I really want to go a little extra, do some no line, be fancy. Don't do that very often. So for the most part, I stick to like this and then my cheapo stuff. And it's good. Okay. That's gonna fall. But yeah. I know the color thing, and because that's been a thing for many years in card making, not in general, but in card making, is the aversion to watercolor paper that isn't stark white. And honestly, y'all, you just got to get over it. Because the issue too, trying to get it perfectly white, if it needs to be bleached, and if it's been bleached, it also takes color in a completely different way. That's why watercolor paper isn't, because it hasn't been bleached. And you know, again, we're getting into like splitting hairs, and for the most part, it doesn't matter. It's card making. It's more when you're doing like a big art piece, you know, that you're going to frame and it's going to have, then you can really get into the specifics. But for most of what we do, it doesn't matter. So anyway, got my watercolor palettes, and then what I did, because this is something, like I said, anybody can do this. Literally. I took a little layering die set, and I went for a little one instead of the big, my brain just stopped, instead of the big floral die sets that I love me a big old Altenew floral die set. But I wanted to make this a little more manageable, a little more approachable. So I went with something a little smaller, you know. So I pulled out this little cute open rose die set, and he's small. Can you show the paper? I'm not going into, sorry, I'm not gonna start messing with holding it because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. That watercolor paper, they all basically look the same. That's in a nutshell. So if you have one of them, all those other ones I was showing look similar to that. If you're going after the color of the watercolor paper, try not to, because most of them, for the most part, they're all very similar. So yeah, okay, little die set. And what I did, and I've shown this in many videos. I don't know when this came out. I think this was also a freebie at one point. I have a link to it, all things. But yeah, just this little, I call these like baby die sets compared to, you know, the big monster florals that Altenew is known for, that love. This is just a little baby, and he's great, and I love him. And I die cut him from Altenew's watercolor paper. And we're going to watercolor the pieces. And it's going to be easy. And all y'all can do this with any floral, really. It doesn't matter. But I love watercoloring die sets or like die cut pieces because you don't have to worry about like a stamped outline and the background and any of that. You know, you don't have to worry. It's like you concentrate on just the one piece at a time. Doesn't need to be perfect. But like I said, anybody can do it. And then once you layer it all up, it's like, oh. So now that we've got a bajillion options when it comes to die sets, whether you're doing florals, greenery, whatever, we've got a ton of options. And this is a good way to kind of dip your toes into watercoloring if it's something that you have been interested in but weren't sure about or are overwhelmed with, intimidated by all the things, which I very much understand. This is an easy way to do it. So I did die cut this like multiple times because they're small. And it gives us a little bit of wiggle room too. I probably will not assemble them all. We'll see. We'll see. Let's just get them stuck to my little grip mat. Just so I have everything kind of in place here. And even though I say like, oh, I might not assemble them the way I line them up in the way they're intended to go too. So this set, just like a lot of the other ones, will it show up on? Yeah, it does. See? Has their little keyhole. Everything's like being reflective. There we go. Let's try this one. Focused count. There we go. The little keyhole. And in this set, it doesn't apply to all of their layering sets, but a lot of them do. Also has numbers debossed. So that one says 1. That one says 2, 3, 4. They make it idiot proof. I always need that. You know, I need all the help I can get. And if I can do it, anybody can do it. So I'm just popping out the little keyhole pieces. Just you don't even need to, but have it. So yeah, I'm like filling up this entire thing. Yeah, I die cut this 4 times. I was like, what was I doing? Okay, so I've got my little pieces, and we'll just start with the petals. This will not, even for this many pieces, this won't take very long. I just have to decide what colors I want to do. And my plan was to use, and this is why I do like little swatches and things of my, let me move this out of the way, watercolor palettes and stuff. And I need to do it more often, or like with some of my other palettes, is because especially like darker colors, you know, it's like that looks like that, like blah, blah, blah. And it's like, oh, there's a green, there's a blue, there's a brown. You know, seeing the colors helps. So the swatches don't have to be perfect. And it's the same thing with this one. Hello, Brienne. You know, because you see these dark, like, and that one, and I was talking about that in a recent video. Very light yellows. And here's proof of that. In watercolor form, in ink pads, etc., can look very green. And they're not. Like this looks green in the palette, but in real life, like in this swatch, and hopefully my camera, but again, the screens can be a little finicky too, but it's yellow, you know? But I think I'm going to go more with, well, this was like the one I've been like just, I don't know why, gravitating towards, but I think I'm going to mix and match between both just for funsies, you know? Because again, why not? Why not? So I'll keep my little swatches off to the side so I can see the colors. And then I'm going to take, a couple watercolor brushes. So I got, these are Altenew's fine watercolor brushes. I just have a round size 6 and a size 4 with something like this. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Again, you can start getting into the weeds with brushes and all of that when you're doing more painting of an image, a scene, etc. Then things can start to vary. But when you're slapping watercolor onto die cuts, use whatever you've got within reason. Most of it should work. Okay. And then the jar of forbidden water.
Oh yeah.
The jar of forbidden water. I had a piece. Oh, and a little piece of paper towel, so I can kind of wipe my brush off in between colors. And then to make things even easier, that's what I was looking for. I just got a little spray bottle, and I'm just gonna spray water on these. I don't often do that. With this, I'm not concerned. With palettes that have the little metal pieces that pop up, if you know what I'm talking about, if you have those watercolor palettes that pop up and like clip the little pans into place, I try to avoid spraying those. Or if I spray them, and even with this, I leave this open when I'm done and let it dry out. Those other palettes with those little metal pieces, those can rust. That's why I usually don't spray, but it makes life easier. And as long as you let it dry, it's fine. I do that anyway. Like, if these are all sitting and they're still full of water, I let it air dry and then I close the lid because I don't want to make a mess. All right. So that just moves things along. Okay. Yeah, nothing really matters. It's true. So, all we're going to do, and I will zoom in a little bit. Okay. There we go. I'm going to zoom in a good amount so you guys can see how ridiculously easy this is going to be. So if I go like that, and then if I go like, let's use, I probably will end up sticking with this palette, and this one is the Moody, this one, Moody Brights? Deep Muse. This is the Deep Muse palette. Because yeah, I'm just like fixating on that color. So I'm going to use those two probably. Yeah. So, yeah. And I'm probably just going to use one brush. No, I'll use both. Whatever. So I got my brushes. I got my little die cut pieces. And then you can do it however you want. I am going to... There we go. My lighting wanted to be a little weird. I'm just going to wet it with water. And then I can pick up some color. And I'll start with the lighter shade. And I'll just start like that. And because the water's already on there, you saw it just went, which is fine. It's fine. Start with that. And then I can immediately go in with the darker shade. And bring that more in here. And then I can just kind of go squibbly in between to let them blend. And this is what I mean when I say that anyone can do this. I am not doing anything super technical or whatever. It's just simple. And then you let it dry. And then we will just rinse and repeat over and over again. And it's going to be quite simple. I wonder if I turn this one off. That helps a bit. That helps a bit. Because, of course, the lighting in here sometimes gets a little bit weird. So, yeah, when I am painting die cuts, just simple. Super, super simple. It doesn't need to be technical or anything. Especially when you're just experimenting or just learning or whatever. Once you're comfortable with it and experiment, you can take it to those levels. Like if you want to make it look realistic and get into the shading and the depth and really go hard, you totally can. But for just beginning or just for fun and not overthink it, etc., you can just slap some color on. And if you want, you can go back and add more layers, add more depth. I'm not going to bother. I'm not going to bother, you know? But you can. I'm just going to add color. So I wet it with water. I go in with the lighter shade. These are going to pop all over the place because they are watercolor paper and die cuts, and there's like fuzzies all over everything because my die cut plates are a mess. I've talked about that before. I don't replace my plates until there's nothing left of them. So that's why I have like die cut hairs all over everything. I don't care. I don't care. I really don't care. So we slap in that one. And then I just kind of go back and forth. Just sort of blend it. Like that. And it's going to vary too on your like climate, etc. when it comes to dry time and all those sorts of things. Like everything for me dries quite quickly, especially when we've got more than one heater blasting in here because it's cold. So yeah, just is what it is. But that's also why I usually do like one piece at a time. So we just get them wet with the water. And then I can go in with the lighter shade. Like that. Like that. And he's gonna pop around. Another thing you can do is use your little pokey tool to hold it down if he's being extra ornery. And then I just kind of scribble the brush just to like move that color. And then go into that darker shade that I absolutely love. And then you always got to remember it's the same sort of concept too as like working with inks. Like I could do this with Altenew's fresh dye inks, and I have. I've shown it in a bunch of videos. But even like watercolors will do the same thing. Like when it's wet, it's going to dry back. And that's why too, if you want to go back in and add more layers, more depth, you totally can. It's just something to keep in mind. How much, and it varies depending on the type of watercolor, etc. How it looks when it's wet versus when it's dry. So the thing I was liking about these is they do, because these ones are all like pure pigments, so they do granulate a little bit. Not sure how well that shows up on camera, but like I can see it, and it's kind of neat. It's neat. It gives it a little more of a textured look. So yeah, I like it. So that was mixing the two. I think one. How about we do this one with maybe just the darker shade? We'll see. I've got all these die cuts. Let's slap some color on and see what happens, you know? Because yeah, I really do like this deep. What is this color name? I don't even know. Lilac Burgundy is what is the pigment name of this one. You are not Ron Burgundy, thankfully. If anyone was Ron Burgundy, it'd be me. Lilac Burgundy, not Ron Burgundy. Even though you
call it Ron for the heck of it.
I am in a glass cage of emotion right now, man.
You really are, with that glass mat in front of you. You're partly there.
I am partly there, you know. Baxter. Yeah. 60%. What was the quote? Like 60% of the time it works. It works every time. Whatever. We need to watch that movie again. One of my favorites. I love Anchorman. Anyway. Okay. So that's just The Ron Burgundy. That's just Ron Burgundy. That's just lilac burgundy. Just that color. You know? So you can, again, you don't have to get super technical either. Especially when you are experimenting and when you are, if you are just new and watercolor is intimidating, because it is. Watercoloring is intimidating. Like, full stop. But watercoloring die cuts is fun. And you just don't need to be super skilled. I genuinely think it's a kind of a really good place to start, just to kind of get used to playing with it and moving the water around and seeing what happens, you know? It's fun. And you always got to remember too, each individual piece, while it can look a little janky, you know, depending on how the color moved or what you did, whatever. Again, don't worry about it. It's like, do all your little pieces, have fun with it. Because once everything's layered up, and of course we're probably going to splatter and all things, it's, you know, don't judge each individual piece till you're done, you know? So, it is. These are like super pigmented. I'm enjoying playing with these. I'm struggling to keep to like limiting myself in terms of colors, because it's like I want to do one of every single color. And then I want to mix all the colors together. And then I want to do this and da-da-da. And it's like, stop. Chill out. I only have so much time. It's a live. And like I said, even though some of my lives run extremely long, because I like to, you know, chat with you guys, which is all fabulous. Yeah, I am fighting this headache. So how about we just not overdo it too much and turn this into a, you know, 12-hour long live stream while Amy plays with every single color known to man. This is where, again, trying not to overthink it. And that's why I like little palettes like this. And trying to like keep myself to one or whatever. Because when you give me a big old palette with all the colors, oh, I love it. And then I'll be just frozen with indecision over all of it, you know? Yes. This is definitely one of those things. Take a die set, die cut some watercolor paper, you know? And then have some time to sit down and pick out some, either use some watercolors or use some water reactive ink, whatever floats your boat, and then just paint and try not to overthink it. It's fun. And the more you get comfortable with it, because that's why watercoloring is so intimidating, the more comfortable you get with it, the more fun it gets. And it's legit one of my favorite ways to color. It's one of my favorite ways to add texture. And you can go super simple like this, or you can just step it up and layer and build tons and tons of depth and dimension. Okay. I'd go for a 12-hour live with you. Oh, you guys are as crazy as I am. I would explain why y'all are here. But yeah. I don't think the world needs a 12-hour live stream from me. I don't think
shifts like we were driving.
We would have to take shifts.
I don't know what I would do to entertain the crowd. A good dance, maybe.
Yeah. Okay, this one I'll do just the lighter shade, which is Raspberry Rose. That's what this one is called. It's so pretty. I like these colors. And the funny thing is I don't normally go for more muted colors. You know, I tend towards the brights, the brights, the vibrance, almost primaries, you know, and yet I love muted colors. It's odd. Like, my knee-jerk reaction is always to head for the really bright shades, but that is something Altenew does really well, is those more muted and very, very different neutrals. And I've talked about that I end up loving more than I ever expected, because it's just like, weird. That's a weird color. What am I going to do with that? And then it's one I reach for all the time. So who knows? I love it. Okay. Yeah, we're just slapping on the color. If you don't give Amy a like, you have to pay for her to get a head massage. I do need a head massage. That would actually be wonderful.
I hear you.
Yeah. Honestly, the unpaid intern sort of does that for me a bit, because the tension build up in the back of my neck sometimes it's rank. It's rank. He's even just, what the heck, man? You can just, the knots in the back of my neck sometimes. Oof. So yes, he does that for me sometimes. Yeah. He'll probably have to do this for me after the live, because yes, this stupid headache has been, well, it's been a couple days. I'm tired of it. Anyway, I'm tired of it. Wah, poor me. Okay, so we did that one. I just got to keep remembering that I'm on screen. And then the other thing I like, and it varies depending on the dye, what sort of medium I'm using to color, etc., etc. But sometimes too, I love, like, that's why I usually like to die cut first, then color. Because one, I then can see, like, oh, that's the base of a petal, brr, whatever. But also the, like, deboss details. Sometimes the color will, like, right there, how it just, like, runs into it. I love that. Because sometimes it'll add little extra bits, that require zero effort from me. It's like, I'm not painting that in. It's just absorbing the color there. And again, it varies. Sometimes the color can sit in it. Other times, with me moving the brush around, it'll move around. Inks a lot of times will like seep in. Watercolors are a little different because they usually will sit on top a bit more. It just depends. It just depends. Yeah, let's just keep going. Here we go. Keep just adding water. And then dropping in the color. And then kind of going like that. And then moving on. I'm not going to overthink it. And then we're going to go back to Rom Burgundy, aka Lilac Burgundy, for this last one, because I am legit obsessed with this color. Oh, thank you, Kathy. Thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. We still have the leaves to do too, and sort of the flower centers. That'll make sense in a bit. We'll get to it. Let me just add in my brain stopped. I was like, oh, what am I doing? There we go. Adding in that water. Okay. And then add the water. Pick up the color. Like that. And then just kind of go like that. And then we'll just let it dry. Oh, and then the other reason I went, like I was kind of alluding to that earlier, like when I was talking about the die set. Another reason I went with one like this that is smaller is it's a lot less intimidating when you're playing around. You're working with like just small, one petal, like just smaller areas. It's not so overwhelming. And then once you get a little more comfortable with it and you're having fun with it and you're feeling a little more confident, then you can start like die cutting some of those big Mondo floral sets, you know, with the big petals, a big surface area. Because it's no different. It just can feel a lot more intimidating trying to deal with it, like right off the bat. But use what you got. You know, if all you have is one large old floral die set, die cut it from watercolor paper. Slap some color on it. See what happens. You might end up being very pleasantly surprised. Doop. And then, okay. Just kind of move that back around. There we go. So that was all the petals. Woo. Okay. So then, gotta do that. Gotta deal with my drippy nose, because of course, when I'm live, and also when I'm like head down over something, it's just like a psychosomatic reaction. My nose is like, oh yeah, this is what we're supposed to do. Okay. I take all my little pieces and I just stick them onto a hardboard. Anything works, just to let them sit and fully dry. Like for the most part, these are already, at least these first ones for me, are almost completely dry. If I have a whole bunch and I've just done them and I've shown this in videos and they're still like wet, like if this was like fresh, I usually will use like my little tweezers and I'll, you know, grab them that way, more so to keep me from getting my fingers, because I usually have ink on my fingers, or, you know, those sorts of things. So I'll like use the tweezers and just do like that. Or you can just leave them on here and let them dry. It doesn't matter, but we're live. I've got other things to do. So I'm just gonna get these out of the way for the moment. And then hope and pray I don't forget and like knock that over, because that's usually what's gonna happen. Then I'm gonna just kind of wipe off the color that's on here, because I get it all over the place. Doesn't really matter. However, if you're using stuff like the Altenew grip mats, etc., do not be surprised. It'll vary depending just on the type of pigment. These little palettes, I wouldn't be surprised if over time the pigments will like stain. Do I care? Obviously not. This grip mat is stained to high heaven. It doesn't bother me. But certain watercolors, just certain pigments in certain watercolors can be extremely staining. Again, I don't care. And people shouldn't either when it comes to like grip mats and that sort, like our tools and whatever. But the only time it really matters is like your clothing. You know, I try not to get it all over myself. It will usually happen. Okay. Yeah, my light wants to be annoying with this camera now. I die cut extra leaves because I like to have extras, because you never know where I want to, you know, tuck in a couple extras. So I die cut the leaves from the watercolor paper. And this is one of the little flower center bits. And I'm going to stick those. The other one I die cut from specialty cardstock, so we'll get to them in a bit. So for my leaves, I'm going to use... I'm probably going to kind of mix the two colors. I might even add a smidge of brown. We'll see. Apparently, if you mix these two, because this is... the pigment is called Still Waters, and this is Origin Number, you get like a Payne's Gray if you mix these two, which is a very gorgeous, like, perfect neutral. But I think... you know what? Stop overthinking it. Let's just do one. Because I was like, ooh, then I could add some yellow. You can. You totally can. Heck, we could do green, and I could add in a little bit of these, like, pinky red shades, which will sort of neutralize it. Don't even get me started in the weeds with color theory. We're going to just use the green, which is Mossy Oak. And it's going to be the same thing. So slap on some water, and then I can pick up some color. And I love how it will pull into the veining. Love it. It's so pretty. Yeah, it's just that one light that was being okay. Doop, 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 doop. So yeah, and I rule of thumb for me with specifically florals, etc., and greenery bits. I usually do try to keep the darkest to the base. So if this was a die cut that was like a viney or like a branch or whatever, wherever the leaf meets, or the base of the leaf. And I was doing the same thing with those floral bits. I was keeping sort of the darker towards what is the base. Again, you get kind of to the point too where you just don't really think too much about it. Doesn't mean you can't think about it. Put more thought. Put a little more thought, a little more effort. There we go. Just, we're keeping it simple. You would have loved it yesterday. I splattered 80 card fronts. Yes. Love it. Love it. I hope you had so much fun. I hope you made an absolute mess. It's fun. It's fun. We are going to do splatter, almost for sure. I've got a couple ideas, but we'll get to it once I actually like assemble things. So then, same thing. And with little ones like this where it's just repetitive and I'm not mixing color and like overthinking, I can do, several at once just to make things. And this is usually what I do. Like I do speed it up in my edited videos, it's all like 400% faster. But even then, I will move pretty quickly if I'm just slapping the color on. It's like do, and then do, and then move on to the next thing. Depending on what I'm doing and the mood I'm in. And then other times I will get, super technical and mix colors and take a lot of time with it. Neither way is wrong. You can do whatever appeals to you and whatever you're in the mood for. Because for me, a lot of time it's just my mood changes. And sometimes I feel like getting a little finicky, and other times it's like, nope, don't have time, not in the mood. Slap it on and move on to the next thing. Doop, doop, doop. There we go. And yeah, wet, dry. How it like totally changes. I love it. I love it. What's these splatter colors? Kathy Zielski is the one who got me into the fan brush, which just that fact still amuses me because she is very much on the like a clean and simple card maker, and so people tend to think that I'm the one who's pressured her into splatter. But the funny thing is it was because of her that I was like, oh, that fan brush looks really cool, and I got it and I love it. And she uses a much smaller brush and keeps it much more contained. Okay. For the centers, we're only going to see a little bit. And for this, I'm actually probably going to mix. I'll mix a bit of the yellow with the Origin Umber shade. Yep, that works. Again, we're only going to be seeing just a little tiny bit of this because another layer goes on top of it. but I cut that other layer from a specialty cardstock. And these also don't need to be exactly the same either, you know? I think that's another reason why I try to encourage people so much to muck around with watercolor and watercoloring die cuts, is it kind of forces you to let go of that need for perfection, because you cannot get everything to look the exact same, or if you do, it's just dumb luck, or you're gonna have to spend way too much time. It's like, just embrace it, let them be different, let the water, let the color do its thing, you know? So those are watercoloring die cuts 101. Let me zoom out again so that you guys aren't like face first in my glass craft mat here. There we go. Is that a little better? It's a little bit. There we go. Okay. Let's move the forbidden water away from my elbow. I nearly drank it the other day.
Yeah.
I kind of laughed. There were some people that got really upset. They were just like, "Oh my gosh," you know, because some pigments are toxic. I'm like, one, I didn't drink it, and two, yes, there are a few actual pigments for color, watercoloring, etc., that are toxic. I don't even think I own a single one of them, and I'm not concerned about it. I'm not like sitting here like licking the paint. Don't lick the paint, people. Just don't. Anyway. Okay. There's my little leaves. There's all my little flousy and like all the texture. Love it. Can I turn this back on now? Oof. There we go. That's a little better. Okay. So then I'm not going to go hard with this, but I thought I would show it because it's also new. And I will be making use of this because I've got other tools over the years that are very similar. This is the Petal Shaper tool set that was part of the December release. And I was like, heck yeah, I like these things. So you got your little foam pad, and this comes in handy. So you want your foam pad, and then you've got your 3 stylus tools, but technically 6 because they're double-ended with different sizes. And the big one especially will come in handy with those big floral die cuts. But the whole concept of these is you take your die cuts, set them on the foam, and then you're using your stylus, and you start with whatever largest one, depending, and you're just pressing in like circular little motions like this. And this will start to curve and curl your paper. So you end up with that. And you can do this however you want. And then you can get really finicky if you want into like these smaller pieces and really get into like building up, you know, curves and dimension and like all that kind of stuff. 100%. I'm going to use it very lightly because I don't want this to be like super, super dimensional, but you obviously can get very dimensional with this. It also works with like leaves. I would start with like, again, the bigger one and little circular motions, just doo-doo, and same thing. It'll just start to curve, you know? So these are fun. And then the other thing you can do with these is like some of these smaller stylus ends I use a lot for specific splatter. You know, when I've done splatter and I missed the spot that I wanted to cover up whatever, I can dip a little stylus tool in my splatter medium of choice and then just like love it for that. So also if you like the look of splatter or like the concept of splatter, but like the whole free loosey-goosey using a brush everywhere, no control freaks you out, stylus tools, because then you can place it where you want. Does it take away from the embossing on the pieces? It could, depending on your pressure and how much you're doing, but for the most part, not really. Like, I'm not sure if I can. These have deboss, and you can. The detail is still there. See? Not pressed away. It's still there. There you go. There you go. See, it's all still there. So that will vary. For the most part, like it's harder to show with this because it's watercolor paper, watercolors on top of it. But if it was a solid piece of cardstock that I'd run through, the stylus tool would press out a lot of it, but you would still see it. So you'd still see the veins. It would just be kind of pressed out with the stylus tool, if that makes sense. So it is something to keep in mind depending on the style of the die cuts you're curling, but for the most part, it's not going to matter. It's not going to matter. So yeah, I'm not really going to do it with the leaves. I just wanted to show it, but with like the florals, we can quickly like just add just a bit. Like I said, I don't need it to be super super dimensional, but like I said, you can definitely do that, but it's quick. And you just stick them on there and go like that. Love it. And I love that this, like, I think this is the biggest. I don't think any of my styluses are this big. Because like I said, I've had several over the years. And yeah, a big one for specifically for like shaping is key, especially for those larger, like Altenew's larger floral die sets. You want a big stylus because if you start with something really, really small, it'll kind of leave like grooves if you're not careful. But I would also say if you're using like larger die cut piece, possibly lighter cardstock instead of watercolor paper, start with a light hand. You'll get a feel for it really quickly. Like start with a light hand and you just do like circular motion. Like you get a feel for it, and it doesn't take much. Like dirt, we'll swirl. There we go. Look at that. It's got dimension, you know, just like that. So we can do that and that one, this one, this guy. And then now this little pile is reminding me, there was a name for it. You probably did that in school, in elementary school. The little squares of tissue paper, and you'd have an image on a paper, and you'd take the squares of tissue paper, and then you'd dip your in glue. Yes, and then you'd fill it in. Yeah. Or use a pencil. To like press it down. Yeah, to press it into the glue. I used to love that. Was one of my favorite little crafts at school. Yeah. I don't know why. I think because I loved like messing around with the tissue paper. And shocker, me and my OCD like filling it in like once it was full and you couldn't see the lines anymore. I loved it so much. And it used to drive me nuts when classmates would like didn't care, you know, and they'd only do a few and you still see the lines, and I was always so disappointed in them. So yeah.
You had a message to give even back then.
Yeah. I used to love it. Loved it. My favorite was when my teachers let me have like just full access to the craft room where all the supplies were kept. Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. You can tear the paper if you press toward it. Oh, yeah. If you're using really thin paper, again, start with light pressure. Like, with the bigger ones, if you're using like copy paper thin, yes. But most like Altenew's color cardstock, which is a little bit lighter weight, I wouldn't have any issues. The only time I'd be a little concerned is like the tiny little styluses. You know, if you use a little too much pressure, you'll just poke right through. I could poke right through this if I wanted to, just with enough pressure. But that's why you start kind of bigger, and then you can work your way down depending on how much dimension and curl you want to build. But just what I did, and it's all like, love it. Love it. So, what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to mix and match these pieces. I kind of, when I painted them, you know, I did, you know, a set with both colors. One set with the lilac burgundy, one set with the right, you know, don't care. Let's just mix it. It doesn't matter. We're just going to mix match as just 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever, and mix it up a bit. So that's layer 1. We've got, this one is layer, that's the third. So I need there's a second layer. So there's layer 2, and then layer 3, and then layer 4. No, let's do that one for layer 4. And then glue would help. It would help to have some glue. Follow me for more life-changing advice. As a professional card maker, I recommend using glue. Anyway, well, and this is also why, there we go. Is this the glue I wanted to use? Yes, it is. Okay. There we go. Oh my goodness. So, where's my layer 2? There he is. And then, like I said, not like it really matters. This glue is being extra finicky today. I shouldn't be surprised. Everything's been sitting and I haven't really been out here much the last few days because of my ailments. And my glue is usually used like all day, every day. So it's been sitting for a few days in not freezing cold, but just cold. Anyway, keyhole. They all line up. It's very, very simple. Little bit of glue. And then you just line up the keyhole shape. And it's super simple. So I went from layer 1. This is layer 4, your final layer. Boop. Like that. Boop. And then press him into place. Again, it doesn't help. But everything's also still kind of cold in here. So like glue doesn't want to adhere properly. There we go. There we go. You know? So I got that. And then there technically is a piece like this. And this is meant to go here, and it's to help line up the centerpiece. I'm just not going to bother because it doesn't matter. However, that sometimes does come in really handy with some of the layering sets from Altenew. Having the guide piece, because it's like, what on earth, you know? But more often than not, especially with some of the smaller sets, I'm just like, don't need it. So we have that. And then there's a final piece that normally would be this one. Get him out. That I was going to watercolor because they die cut at the same time. However, instead, I die cut them from Smoky Quartz glitter paper just to give it a little extra something something. So that's what I'm going to use for my little flower centers. Just like that. So once it all comes together and we've got all of that like variation in color and texture, and that was done with just a couple colors of that watercolor palette and the watercolor paper, and then a little bit of bling with the flower center. But you know, each individual piece can look a little weird, like I was saying, but then once it all comes together, it's so pretty. It's so pretty, you know? So I'm just going to keep doing it. We're just going to keep varying, like doing just random layers to bring this all together. So we've got that one. That's a layer 1. That's a layer 1. Let's line these up so I can see what on earth I'm doing. So that's layer 2. Where is, oh, there's a 2. I was like, I'm missing pieces here. That one can go with this one. That one can go with this one. 1, 2. Oh, that's what I'm doing. Okay, so there's that guy. Let's do that guy and that guy. That guy. That guy. This one. This one. There we go. Don't overthink it. So there's 4 more flowers. We'll just slap these together. Yes, that's a 2. I was like, not like it really matters. Not like it really matters. And you can choose as well. When it comes to some of the more involved sets, it applies to one like this too. I always recommend doing it the way it's intended the first time. You know, die cut it and layer it the way they explain on the packaging, etc. Just to give your brain, it's like, oh, okay, this goes here, this is what this weird random piece does, whatever. And then once you've built it once, it's like, do whatever you want. Choose not to use as many layers. Choose to leave out a layer. Choose to mix up how you do the layers. You know, they're your die cuts. Do whatever you want with them. So, yeah, I'm just gonna, I think, assemble these just as is, because we've got all that variation with just from the watercolors. So I don't really feel that, and my brain is just like, no. Stop trying to make fetch happen, you know, like just let it go. What was it you were saying the one day and I kept telling you stop trying to make fetch happen? It was probably something inappropriate.
Oh,
I forget. Sure I can't even remember. That's another movie I need to watch again. It's been a long time since I've watched Mean Girls. I love it. Okay, so we got that.
You're not like the other ones.
I know, right? Oh my goodness. I had to coach Chris on how to say that whole spiel. Like, I'm not like the other moms. I'm a cool mom. And I forget now the rest of that quote.
I don't know.
But just so he could embarrass one of the older kids at one point when they had a bunch of friends over. Yeah. Chris is like, I'm not like the other dads, you know, I'm a cool dad. And I was like, had to like stand there and coach him because he didn't remember. And it was just so cringe. It was so good. Every second of it. It was funny. Anyway. Okay. The watercolor makes them look, I know, like, it. Look at the variation. You know? Just from watercolor. Like, it's fun. And there ain't nothing wrong with just die cutting from, you know, solid color cardstock, all that. That's super fun too. Again, it just depends on my mood, what I'm doing. But you want to really, you know, try something different and play with some watercolors, like, they look so fancy. You know? I love it. Okay. It's got two down, 2 more to go. Let's get these guys assembled. Okay. 1. Ooh. My glue is really just being something today. I don't know what that something is. Okay. Our youngest daughter told us that if we say we're cooler than other parents, we aren't cool. Boo. Oh yeah, Chris and I are well aware of it. And we don't care. Like, literally, he and I are going around like 6, 7. And like, yeet. The one year, my one kid was just like, we don't say yeet anymore. And I was like, darn, YOLO, yeet. I don't care. We live to troll our children 24/7. So yeah, is what it is. And it works, especially when it's annoying, stupid stuff. Although watching Home Alone with those little rugrats, yeah, and John Candy going on about his traumatized toddler left in the funeral home with the corpse, and he's like, I totally forgot. And he's like, oh, he's fine. You know, 6 to 7 weeks later, he's talking, and all the kids, 6, 7. And I was like, we asked for that. We really did.
Yeah.
We really did. So, yeah. All good, man. All good. There we go. Oh, look how pretty these flowers are turning out. It's so fun. Okay. So now, add more little glue bobs. Boop, 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 boop. Like that. Thorn of Vessel Bro. Oh, yeah. That one. Bruh. I'm pretty sure I've been referred to as bruh.
Yeah.
And I'm not even bro. It's like, bruh. I was like, okay. I don't care. I just respond in kind. I'm like, what's up, bro? You know? Yeah. Yeah, 6, 7. Again, I make it as awful as possible. The one morning, because they were driving me nuts with the whole, like, 6, all of it. And I was like, I'm going to 6, 7 skibbity toilet eat you. And I just went on about it. And I overheard them. And they were like, oh my God, I think we broke her. Yeah. I don't judge, man. I really don't. Because the minute I think this generation's ridiculous, and yeah, some of these things are so dumb, and then I just get reminded of some of the dumb crap we said as kids, or like any of it, the music, etc., etc. And I was like, we have nothing to like brag about. So, all of the stuff, number thing, Chris and I joke about that. It's like, hey man, we had 420 and 69. Yeah. So, those at least had meaning. Okay. I'd miss that comment. I mean, it's the thing about 6, 7 is it doesn't mean anything. Exactly. It means nothing. It means nothing. And it just is, you know? And I would rather it mean nothing because it could be so much worse. So, whatever. Whatever, man. Okay. Last little flower center. And then I've got my 2 little... Oh, our music was great. I'm not saying it wasn't. It's just there is some music that when you actually stop and listen to it, it's like, okay, we had some very stupid songs that we very much loved, you know, that were literal stupid, you know, like Tub Thumping, man. Still love it. It comes on, and Chris and I are like, yes, it is the dumbest song.
I think it's still on like the top 25 charts of the UK.
Oh, probably, you know, but yeah, I don't judge when people start to get up in arms and like kids these days, and I'm like, nothing has changed. We all have our ridiculous things. It is what it is. It just means we're getting old and we have to look these things up. I guess kind of. I don't know. I'm constantly looking things up and keeping an eye on it because it's like, what does such and such mean? Like, what is this current ridiculous, you know? More so, like I said, to troll our own children. So yeah. Anyway, I got my little... There we go. I remember thinking a song was a great romantic song as a kid. As an adult, I'm like, that's stalking. Oh, yeah, every step you take. Yeah, you know? Again, you got to listen to the words sometimes, and it's just like, oh, man. Aren't those pretty? Look at all our pretty Bloodhound Gang. Yep. Chris and I were listening to that one the other day, too.
Yeah, we were.
You and me, baby. Yeah. 1, I can't sing. 2, cannot sing during, you know, videos. I would get, if it the crazy algorithms pick it up. I do not need to get demonetized. But yeah, Bloodhound Gang, that song I can basically quote word for word, like very easily. Anyway, I got my florals. I got my pile of leaves that we can stick. We got to do my background, which do I think I'm not 100% certain if I'm going to go with the background I'm thinking about, but let's try it and see what happens. I was going to use, where did I put it? There it is. I've got like just die cuts and piles of things everywhere. I pulled out, as usual, like one of my favorite press plates, which is Altenew's Fine Woodgrain. Used it in so many videos. I don't even know how many videos I've used it in. A lot. I use it a lot because it's just beautimous. I want this to be very subtle, though. So I'm going to use white cardstock. Do I want to use thin white? Because I'm just like, yeah, I'm just going to use some thin white cardstock, which I didn't cut down. Well, I did have a piece cut down and then I wrecked it, so I need to cut down another piece. So I'm just going to use some white cardstock. And I'll start it with an A2 size. I might cut it down a little bit when we're done. We'll just see. But just a piece of white cardstock. And then my butter press. So I'm going to use my butter press. And then the press plate, which this one is a monster size plate as well. It's A7 size, so another reason I love it. Because if you do larger cards or just want larger pieces with the texture, but A2 size. And I'm just going to stick, where's my tape runner? I had it, there it is. A little bit of tape runner on the clear plate to hold my cardstock in place that I'm already getting schmutz on. Just line him up. He doesn't need to be perfect. There we go. And I want to use this with my current obsession, Platinum Pigment Ink. Because I thought this should work with the Smoky Quartz glitter, which I might bring in another element of. But I'm just very lightly brushing this on here, which isn't going to look like much because it's the color between that and the plate, not a huge variation. But also this is a pigment ink pad, unlike Altenew's like fresh dye inks that are a felt, and linen top. The pigment ink pads are more spongy, so you don't want to like reef on these because you'll get ink smushed into everything. One, that's a pain to clean up, and two, it could just make a mess. But I'm just gonna like tap it and kind of brush it because again, I just want this light. I'm not going for like solid color. I want the kind of the hint of a pattern is what I'm aiming for. We'll see. We'll see. But yeah, the video I posted earlier this week, I had been playing with this and loves it. It's beautiful. So I inked it up, put the clear plate on, and then I gotta move stuff out of the way again so I can run this through. There we go. I'm excited to see the platinum. Yeah, if you watch my Altenew hop video, when did that go up? Was that Thursday? Whatever day it was. It was the last video I uploaded before I went live today because, like I said, I haven't been feeling good. I used the platinum ink in that video, and I did some. I edged some of the cardstock with it. I used it on some of the cardstock die cuts, and then I also went over an embossed background with it, and I was raving about it in that video. So if you want more like seeing how that ink looks, check that video out because yeah, it's fun. I am very much loving the platinum ink. Oh yeah, I didn't even ink it up fully, but whatever. I don't know if I can even show properly. Like, it's subtle, the little bit of shimmer to it. It is subtle, but it's pretty. It's pretty. And I'll just cut this down. I could kind of try and re-ink, like add ink to where I obviously missed, but I'm not even going to bother. I'm not going to bother. I can just cut this down to a bit smaller. It'll be fine. So I just go like this for now. Generally because I use Altenew's fresh dye inks a lot with my plates, and I just wipe it with a baby wipe and then go on about my day. It's fine. Because I used this ink, I might clean this later just to make sure I get all of this off here. Because again, this ink's a little harder to see on here. But I didn't apply it very heavy either. Yeah, he's fine. It's fine. We're fine. Okay. Let me get this out of the way. So, let's wiggle it off. There we go. Yeah, no, this ink is... Oh, and I forgot to move my pieces of tape. I always keep my tape on here, and I just reuse them. But I always forget when I use this big plate, because if you run larger plates through and it impresses on the tape, like it wrecks the tape. Again, not the end of the world, but it wrecks the tape, so I can't really reuse it because it just starts to shred. I did that the last time I used this plate too, because I was like, oh, I needed to move my tape out of the way. Whatever. Again, one of my little OCD twinges. It's fine. All right. Let's get that guy out of the way. But yeah. Love this plate so much. It's amazing. And I love this ink. We will use it. We will use it more. I'm just going to trim this down. Okay. So, let's take off... Oh yeah, that'll work. Let's do like 5. Yep. Yep. That'll work. So we do 5 by 3 3/4. There we go. So we got that. So that'll be my background. And then I have some florals. And then I also die cut a circle using the Smoky Quartz glitter paper. And I just used 2 of the nesting circle dies to get a frame. That's how I did that. Because I thought that would look pretty on here. Got that. And these kind of could be sort of along it. I plan on having a sentiment, and then I'll be tucking in my little leaf bits. Yes, that's fine, because then we're also going to add splatter. You know, because I got to have some splatter in my life. And then we'll get to the sentiment, but let's just start. Let's just commit. Let's just commit. So I'm going to add some glue to the back of this. Wipe off some of the excess. And then we'll center that like so. Just press him down, stay where you belong. And then when I do my sentiment, which we'll get to him, because I want to add splatter, so I just want to make sure to do that. And that, I could stick that one, say like right there. Right there, a very technical term. Oy. Okay. And then just globs of glue, because then we can tuck the leaves and everything in once I get to it. So put a little magnet on top just to hold them down. And then we'll stick one like right there. You can kind of go like that. Do that. Another blob of glue. Like that. Yeah. Yeah. Like that. Like that. I don't have any more little magnets. I only have big ones. There we go. That'll work. Okay. And then we need we need to add some leaves to it. Got a little pile of leaves here. So we can start tucking them in. And again, we're not going to overthink it. Let's just commit. And trust me, I say those things so that everyone will listen to me and do as I say. But I overthink everything. But there's a difference when you're live and I don't, want to drive everyone insane while I agonize over, like, where do I place the leaves? Because trust me, been there, done that. Okay. Tuck one in there. Like that. There we go. We'll be sticking one in there. Hope there's more A7 plates in 2026 and beyond. Heck yeah, man. That would be cool. Altenew has quite a few, like really nice press plates. This one's obviously one of my favorites. I pulled out a sentiment one. We'll get to that. And then I did a video just a couple weeks ago, using one of their other press plate sets, that floral one. The unpaid intern could look it up, and you could link to it in the chat. The Altenew floral video I did not too long ago.
Oh, the floral tool?
No, the floral video, because I use press plates.
Okay.
I'll be able to point it out to you if you bring it up. Because yeah, that one I glimmered. I used Altenew's like black foil and hot foiled those florals. Go up. That one with the yellow. Yep, that one. That video. He'll link to it in the chat. I posted that again a couple weeks ago. And yeah, did hot foiling with the press plate set. And, oh, so good. That set also does have a stamp set for those that are just not into like press plates at all. But really, some of these, like this one, this Woodgrain, even if you just absolutely refuse, this is one you can use without the butter press. Like you could run it through and just emboss like the texture if you wanted. Shown that in videos as well, and I love it. I love it. I love it so much. Okay. I want to tuck in a couple more leaves. There we go. Look at these like muted colors. Not usually what I go for, and yet I absolutely loves it. It's so pretty. Let's tuck that one in there. Like that. And then I'm going to kind of keep just adding a few here and there. Yes. Yes. Little blobs of glue and just tucking it in like that. There we go. Do I need... Sure, why not? I die cut a bunch. I've got extras. Let's tuck that one. Right like that. Okay. So we have that. And it's all fabulous. There we go. And then let me move. That's not what I need more space. I literally need more space. Okay. I want to add splatter before we get to the sentiments. Let's cover that up. Let's move that out of the way. So we've got that. And then we have that. I'm going to use a bit of this to splatter. We might do like multiple splatters. Do I want to add this to my card base first though before? Let me see. If I do, yeah, I kind of do, because then I'll get splatter on the card base, and that's what I want. I want splatter on the card base, okay? Okay, there we go. So, I'm going to put this onto my card base, which is a top folding A2 white note card. Nothing crazy. We're just keeping her simple. So, there we go. Let's get that in there like that. Make sure I've got them centered, like, yes, like so. Oh, and I did a good job too. I didn't even go over the edges. Like, I would cut it off anyway. I don't really care. But some people really freak out when I cut stuff off that's hanging off the edge of a card. And I'm like, okay. Okay. But yeah. Okay. We have that. And then I'm just going to add a little piece of tape to keep my card closed to somewhat prevent getting splatter on the inside. But I've literally shown where I've taped the card closed and I still managed to, I don't know how. It happens. I don't care. But got that. And then I'm going to start with, let's start with an even, that's a size 4. Do I want to use a size 4? Yeah, the 4 will be fine. Let's use the watercolor palette to make some splatter. So, all I got to do is take some water and just, where's my little, I need a little doodly-doo, this'll work. A little acrylic block just to put some of this on. I'm not going to need a whole lot. I'm even going to water it down a little bit too. There we go. That's good. So we'll just take some of that and add just little bits. And I'll splatter it right over the flowers themselves because this will add a little extra texture as it dries. Add a bit more. It's got just a bit, nothing too crazy. And then I will take the darker shade, our Ron Burgundy. Think of that every darn time now. We'll take a bit of that. Get it on there. Add some water. There we go. And then same thing. I'm just going to add just, this is what I call a bit. Just a bit of splatter. Not very much. Good enough. Good enough. You know? And then the last but not least, I was thinking of something. I was gonna do black, but doesn't need it. No, I'm gonna let that sit and dry before I close the lid. Yeah, I could probably mix metallics to get a very close shade to that smoky quartz, but instead I think I'll just go with this darker. This is Altenew's like metallic palette. So I'm just gonna take this darker shade. And with metallics, unlike these style, like the one I did the watercoloring with at the beginning, watercolor palettes like this, you can just touch with a wet brush and immediately get color payoff. It's the way these work. However, metallics are different. Metallics need to be worked up. It's just the way the formulation is, everything else. So don't expect to go just in with a wet brush and go doop and all of it you've got color payoff. No, you need to like work it a bit to get those pigments to do their things and all of the stuff. All of the stuff. So I just take a bit with this. There we go. Just pull it right out of there. This one I think I want to do with my fan brush. Okay. So I'll take my fan brush. Yes. There we go. Okay, I'm done. I'm done. We're good. No more splatter. That'll do, donkey. That'll do. And then we wipe this up so that I don't put my elbow in it. Because that's usually what's going to happen. Let's all be honest here. Okay. Let that guy dry. And then we'll take this out of there. We got that. Here we go. Okay. And then I can take that and that. Move the water so I don't knock it over. So that's what we've got so far. And then for my sentiment, I took, where did I put it? There it is. This was the Scripted Sentiments die set. And I die cut the thank you from Acai Berry. Acai? Acai? That is how you pronounce it. Every time I pronounce it, I'm just like, derber derber. Acai Berry. Love it. Beautiful color. Purple brown. That's basically what acai berry, that color is a purpley color with brown undertones. It is a beautiful color. And it goes nicely with the rum burgundy. Hey, the lilac burgundy. That's what I was like, oh. Anyway. So I die cut it multiple times. And I did this not long before we went live, so I didn't have time to assemble it ahead of time, but this will not take me very long, thankfully. So I die cut it. When I was die cutting the flowers, I die cut the sentiment at the same time. So quick and simple. And then as is tradition, I layer a couple of die cuts together to build up a bit of dimension. Now, Altenew's cardstocks are a bit lighter weight. They average like 80 to 90 pound weights, which I've talked about many times. I actually genuinely like that they're a bit lighter weight because they make it so much nicer when doing a heavy amount of layers. they don't add a ton of bulk. But it's something to keep in mind for things like sentiments. They won't be as dimensional because the cardstock isn't as thick. So you could add more layers if you wanted. But for me, 2 is enough. So 2 layers for the top. Add. My glue is seriously just... There we go. I let it sit upright for too many days, and because it got cold, I think the water kind of separated from it a bit. Good job, Amy. Okay, that's better. That's better. There we go. So we layer him up, and then I just take my little pokey tool if there's bits oozing out. There we go. Perfection. Love it. The outline I just die cut from vellum. So I'm going to adhere the sentiment to the vellum. Boop, like that, with a bit of glue. There we go. A little excess. And then he just lines up on his little vellum piece like that. Love it so much. There we go. And I can, where's that other? There we go. And then this one, same thing. Stick him onto this guy. Like that. And then line him up like that. There we go. Let that sit. And then the final layer, I adhere to the back of the vellum. And I do not claim the genius of this little hack. I learned it from someone else, and I can't for the life of me remember who I saw doing this years ago. And I've got a video out there somewhere giving them credit for it too. And I don't remember what video it was because it was a long time ago. It was years ago. But I saw them do it, and I was like, oh, you're so smart. Like, genius. So putting it on the back makes it easier to adhere this to the finished card because it will give me somewhere to put glue on the cardstock versus on the vellum, because glue shows through vellum. Like, it's not pretty, you know? And trying to keep it concealed behind vellum is annoying because glue likes to ooze. It is what it is. And I used to, use the super fine tip nozzled glues and try so hard to trace, behind and all of it. And then, yeah, that other maker was just like, just take another die cut piece, stick it to the back. And I'm like, oh, brilliant. Amazing. Life-changing for me. Because then I just stick glue on the cardstock and we're good to go. Plus, the cardstock layer pops up the vellum just a smidge, depending on the weight of the cardstock you're using. And if you want it popped up more layers, whatever. But yeah, there's our little sentiment. And I'll be tucking him in, like right there. Yes. Yes. Love it. Love it. So we can just stick the glue on the back of the sentiment like so. Oops. And then I don't have to worry about it touching the vellum and looking all like weird. I just want to kind of like tuck him in here. Like that. Get where you belong. There we go. There we go. Same thing. No. So then, I did not film this. I did this right before we went live. Sub-sentiments. This set, another press plate set, another favorite. So this was the One Go Solid Sentiment Strips 3 press plate set, which means there have been 2 others, which are right here, which I think are currently, these ones I think are out of stock at the moment. Altenew will restock them. They keep selling out every time they bring in because they're awesome. So they had the One Go, this was the first set, and say it's 1 plate. And then the second set, again, 1 plate, extra sentiments. And then now there's a third set, and who knows, down the road I assume that they'll do more. And then the whole point is it's 1 plate, and then there's 1 wafer die that will die cut them all. And I've used them in multiple videos. I have pressed them. I've hot foiled them. That's like one of Altenew's like green hot foils. That's their, I think, ivory black. Is that what it's called? Hot foil. Like, I've pressed them. I've hot foiled them. Love them. So this one, before I went live, I pressed this just onto white cardstock with acai berry ink. So just like I did the Woodgrain background. Put the plate on, inked it up with the acai berry ink, and then ran it through with a piece of white cardstock, and then die cut it with the wafer die. And now I have a pile of little sentiment strips I can use. So I'm going to use thank you. I'm truly grateful. I want to add that one probably, and then maybe we'll put that one on the inside. And then the rest, I just stick them back in the packaging to use on future projects, because I ain't going to waste them. My heart's filled with gratitude. Yeah. Yeah. So let's just tuck those guys boop, into the package. So then, of course, I keep these all like together because they all work together. It makes sense. So that's what I did for the little sub-sentiment. And then it also gives me one to add to the inside of my card, which, again, getting schmutz everywhere. Big surprise. Shouldn't be surprised. So, I wanted I'll use a little strip of foam tape to even this out because I've got a fair bit of like dimension built up. So where's my foam tape? There's my foam tape. Oh, and I've even got a little, it's like it was meant to be. Oh, so good. Don't have this linked in the supplies. I'll add it afterwards.
Foam tape?
Well, it's type in instant dimension. Actually, I can do it faster than you. Haha. Do you think you can beat me? But you won't know which one it is because Altenew has many.
I'm assuming it's the one that just says...
Oh no, there's several. There are several. 17. Is that the one? Oh, there's a bundle. Sorry, y'all. I want to use There, I added both of them. The very last one I added is the exact one I'm using. This one's my favorite. The 1 inch wide, 1/16 of an inch. And I won. I got to it before he did, but you couldn't see exactly which one I was using either. But yeah.
You just really wanted to brag, didn't you?
I did.
That's okay.
I like to win. And he understands that because...
I'm not necessarily...
Oh, you are like that with when we play games.
No, I just don't want anybody else to win. I don't care.
Which includes me. No, yeah, that's just it. Like, if you're not winning, you will go to your way to... He's the worst to play board games with. Although, I guess, yeah, to play with. I enjoy, like, now that I'm well aware of your personality. It's like, I prefer to be a spectator.
Yeah, I know.
Because I know better. Anyway.
That's why I bought a new board game for us to play over Christmas.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it's going to be so fun. I'm totally looking forward to the meltdowns and the tears, which most likely are going to be mine. Okay. I added a little bit of foam tape. There we go. That evens it out. So we've got the little bit of foam tape, a little bit of liquid glue. Doop, doop, doop. Just like that. And then I can add, getting glue where I don't want it. Just like that. Love it. It's coming together. He just needs to sit for a second because, yeah. Okay. While I'm doing this, and then I'm just going to add this to the inside, that's going to finish off the card. So while I'm doing this, the unpaid intern can pick a winner.
I can.
Let me just do that. Okay, I can put that right there. Okay. Got that. And then we're going to add this one to the inside. We have to come back and squeeze a bit of glue here and there. It seems like everything's good. Okay, so the inside, keeping them simple. Just the sentiment. There we go. And then like that. And like that. Like so. Love it. Love it. There we go. And I could add more bling. I'm not going to. I could. It would look great. But I've got, the bits of glitter, cardstock, and all the things going on, and splatter and yada yada. And I'm totally fine with what we have. And then if I gotta zoom in a little bit here. There we go. There is our finished card. And yes, there is a fair bit of dimension, especially using that Petal shaper tool. So you can see, and I could have gone even harder with that tool to really, really curl up. I would do that on cards that I was hand deliver, something I'm going to hand deliver to someone. I would go even harder and really curl up and build that dimension. And then what you can do is after you've used the tools, you could also tuck little bits of foam tape, in between if you wanted to, cut little pieces, little squares, and you could tuck them in, underneath to keep that dimension, and really pop it up and build. I didn't do that because I'm just gonna, and for me to mail this, I've kind of talked about this. I take a piece of just A2 cardstock and I kind of press it on top and then stick it in an envelope and mail it. I won't be too concerned about this. I think it'll still be under the the requirements of how thick, But if I had done something and I still wanted to mail it, like I said, really built it up, added foam to yada yada, I would probably mail this in a bubble mailer or a rigid mailer. That would work as well. But yeah. So, and I kept the background as subtle as possible. Platinum ink for the win. I need to get a re-inker for this one. I will be using this one a lot. I really like this like color, and it's not too shimmery. It's just pretty. I love it. I love it so much. So yeah. And then that watercolor palette. Who'd have thunk that I'd go more for the more muted colors over the brights. And yet the brights are so fun. I'll have to play more with this one as well. But yeah, these colors are just, look at all that. Look at it. Look at it. Look at it. Look at all that texture. You know? And that was basic water, you know. Anyone can do this type of watercolor. It is simple, as I showed. And I didn't get super in the weeds with it either. You know, I already forgot the names again. Raspberry rose, lilac burgundy, mossy oak for the leaves. And then the only mixing I did, and like I said, you barely see it, was the mixing of the golden ochre and the origin umber for the little bits of flower centers. But still, simple, you know? I like these palettes. And oh, I didn't mention that. They're like hefty too. Like they're solid. They're nice. They're nice. They're nice. They're nice. So that was my finished card. Love it. Love it. It just worked. And then let me go to, there we go. Ha, it works. It works. Here, let's be all fancy. So fancy. Okay. Do you have a winner?
I do.
Or are you just autisming out again?
Yes. Our winner is Kathy from Oregon today.
Kathy in Oregon.
Yeah, Kathy with
Okay.
a C.
My disclaimer, I haven't mailed. I had said on last Sunday's live that I was going to mail everyone's out this past week. And yeah, like this week hit me like a ton of bricks. It really did. So I did not get anything mailed out. And not only did I get hit by a ton of bricks, but so did our local post office.
Yeah.
Nobody was hurt. But somebody took their vehicle and either, because it's been also very, very icy, and either they just didn't brake or they hit the gas when they were parked something and they went like right into the front of our post office. So again, nobody was hurt, thankfully. But that has also kind of made things a little extra difficult for everyone because it's been 40 degrees below zero. So fixing that's going to be so much fun. So, yay. I do plan on hopefully getting things mailed out. Maybe this week. Who knows, you guys? It's just been rough. I'm tired. I'm looking forward to turning all these lights off because that also helps so much with the headache because all my filming lights, that's why I haven't been in here the last few days because I'm just like I can't do it. Anyway, this was fun though. I am very glad the random ideas in my head, I was just like, how, came together. And these flowers turned out even prettier than I expected. I'm glad I mixed them up. I normally wouldn't do that. I normally wouldn't mix up the way I colored them and I'm so glad I did that because that made it even more fun, and gave it a little more variation. Sometimes when thank you to the disembodied hand.
There he goes again.
There he goes
disembodying himself.
Yeah, so disembodied. Yeah. Sometimes during the live, I end up like my brain just works even better, which is
it is a gorgeous card.
Weird.
I love the way the flowers turned out.
They turned out really pretty. And I have an extra one. I'll have to make a little tag or something maybe.
It almost looks like something somebody would wear on as a corsage kind of thing.
Oh, a little corsage.
Yeah.
Yeah. You could be like, you never know. It's cute. It's cute. This went well. And I'm glad. I'm glad because I wasn't feeling it today. I will be better hopefully very soon. Hopefully
once the weather decides to finally even itself
I
out.
hope so. I have so much I need to get done. I have so many videos. I have so many videos, you guys. I had promised that last year. I was like, I'm going to be like, you guys are going to see like a video a day, if not multiples from me. And then, yeah, it's been rough. But it'll get better. It'll get better. And yeah, I have a hopeful feeling that if I get a good night's sleep tonight, that'll also help with the headache. Because, yeah. Barometric pressure. Love it so much. The fact that even Chris's like weather app warned about that, I was like, really? Because it usually gives them some of the dumbest things about weather. It's like, this isn't good tennis playing weather. And I'm like, so now I always joke about that when he's like, oh yeah, like it's going to be like minus 40. I'm like, darn, I guess I'm not going out to play tennis. But yeah, his weather app, I think it was yesterday. And he was like, it had like a warning. And it was like, those that suffer from like headaches induced by barometric pressure changes should like take precautions. It's going to be bad. And I'm like, no wonder I feel like absolute crap. So it is what it is. But this turned out very nice. Who'da thunk? Who'da thunk? You know? So I appreciate you guys tuning in. Oh, we got a happy light from my mom. It helps a lot. Those, yeah, with light therapy in that sense. I got one of those. It didn't do anything for me. But I take a consistent amount of vitamin D on my doctor's orders. So, and that helps. Who'da thunk? Shocker. But anyway, this went well. It turned out good. And I'm planning on will you please sign the card? Oh, Kathy, I write on the inside. I write, and you will get my very scrawled little signature. I give a little XOXO, and then I sign my name or whatever on the inside of all the cards I send. It's, yeah. I do it on myself. I hand fill it out and sign it. It's nothing special. My handwriting is pretty atrocious, but whatevs. But yeah, thank you all for tuning in. Thank you, Mitzi, for helping in the chat. Thanks to the unpaid intern who, as usual, when his job is done, he's done. He's gone. He's gone. He's off doing other things. It's all good. I loved how these turned out. I really enjoyed this episode. You want to try? Yes, I encourage it. I very, very much encourage trying out watercolor on die cuts, especially if you've never done watercolor before, or if you've tried watercolor, and because it takes time and practice. It really does. Watercolor is one of those things where it's very, very intimidating and very overwhelming. And it takes time and practice. And the more you do it, the more comfortable you get with it. And I find of all the ways to watercolor, specifically in card making, watercoloring die cuts is one of the, I don't know, I see it as one of the easiest versus stamping an image. That's actually what I was originally going to do today. I was going to stamp an image, like a floral, and watercolor it. And then I was like, how about I just go for what I consider simpler die cuts? You know, it creates, because all that unevenness that might bother a person on a stamped image, because it's like, oh, I don't like how that went, or, you know, it's uneven, or it's this, or it's that, you know, it plays in your favor, especially with die cuts. And again, it's a lot more freeing too, because you're not dealing with stamped lines. You know, you don't have any borders or perimeters. It's just that die cut piece, and that's it. So you don't have to worry about getting something on the background. You don't have to worry about going outside the lines. You know, watercolor die cuts. I recommend it. Try it. It's fun. And then you end up, and every single one ends up different. That's always the fun too, because you can use all the exact same colors, all the same die cuts, all the same things, but every little piece is going to look slightly different. And that helps build texture and depth. And when in doubt, add splatter. Or don't if it's not your thing. That's okay. That's okay. So yeah, the more you do it, the more comfortable you get with it. Because that's the biggest, that's the hurdle, is getting more comfortable with it, you know? Because it's a little bit of a tricky thing, playing with the water and all of it. And yeah, these little palettes are great. And I've already almost fixed. I talked about that in the beginning. Like this one I broke it because no, this one's almost fixed. And I don't say that as in like it needs to be perfect, but I'm more so because I am clumsy. So I don't want to like end up losing a piece. So yeah, he's kind of fused back together, so he's good. The other one I'll just have to play with a bit more to play with it. But I like these little sets, and apparently, from what I understand, let's gently move him over. I think I can. Oh yeah. Oh, they are. They're labeled on the back. They went extra fancy with these. It's hard to show because my light's going to reflect, but the backs of the pans have the name of the palette, the pigment color, and like the little, not the little watercolor info and stuff, and the light fast. But yeah, I didn't even realize they did that till just now. That's very fancy. So if a person wanted to, you could mix and match. I kind of like that. These palettes are nice. They're very nice. Which means, yeah, it's magnetic. It's magnetic. These are not your basic little, like I said in the beginning, these are not your basic little watercolor tins. Like these are nice. They're very nice. I like it. I like it a lot. Yeah, if they end up doing more down the road, I have no idea. If they end up doing more down the road, I could mix and match, you know, the colors I use the most, and could create. I'm already getting ideas. I don't even know what the plans are. Who knows? They're great. They're great. Never thought I would go for the deep Muse. I was going to go for the Moody Brights. It's pretty though. I'll have to use that for something else. I'll have to do another video. Anyway, I'm glad you guys are trying it. You know? Trying watercolor, playing with splatter. All the things, you know? So that's what it's all about. Find what works for you. Find what your niche is, what you like, what you don't like. That's the whole creative process, you know? And yeah, I'll do the photos, the social medias, all that stuff. It might take me a little longer. Usually I try to get to it right after the live is over, you know, within the same amount of time. I'm trying not to put too much pressure on myself right now because I don't feel so great, man. I'm going to probably go lay down as soon as I turn the camera off and just take a beat, you know? But I like how this turned out. This was a lot of fun. And I appreciate you guys tuning in and hanging out with me. And I will be back. I will have several videos coming this week because I've got a lot of work to catch up on and ideas and things. So just stay tuned. And and don't forget the code. Let me do a reminder. Oh, with my face in it. That offer is good till the 16th. And the info specifically is in the description box below the video with my link and all the things. But yeah, you can get a pack of watercolor paper free if you decide to order anything. Yeah, if your order is over $49, you can get a pack of watercolor paper for free with the code AmyR5. And yeah, links to all of it in the description box below. I'll add the fan brush. I forgot, but I'll add it. Let me set it out so I don't forget. I'll add it to my supply list. It's the same one I always use. If you go to any of my videos, it's linked. So I'll do that later. Yeah, because I didn't have that linked, but we'll get to it. So that's it from me. And I will see you guys I just want to make sure I'm in the right spot. I will see you guys in another video very soon. Bye. Thank you so much to my amazing Patreon supporters. For anyone that might be interested in joining my Patreon community and supporting me, the link to my Patreon is in the description box below the video. For everyone else, as always, thank you all so much for taking the time to watch my videos, for thumbs upping, commenting, subscribe if you haven't, I'd love to have you. And here's a couple other videos for you to check out in case you missed them. Bye!